live on the Sue Bird podcast, I believe Bird's Eye View, and she's addressing what it's like being Caitlin Clark's teammate, the fit on the floor. How are you fitting on the floor?
They've been quiet for months, but the timeline just slipped out, and it could flip the whole conversation. Word is that Caitlin Clark's next real game action isn't a preseason run or a promo cameo. It's the international stage, Team USA, March 11th through March 17th in San Juan, Puerto Rico for the World Cup qualifying window. These aren't scrimmages. These are official jerseys, official broadcasts, and global eyes waiting to see whether the most talked about player in women's basketball is ready to hit the accelerator again. If she's cleared, that's not a warm-up. That's a spotlight you can see from space. Now, take a breath and roll the tape back to where all this started. Remember the chaos of last year? On opening day, she came out looking like a superhero. Tempo up, vision razor sharp, the kind of debut that makes highlight producers rub their hands together. And then, just as fast, the floor got slippery. First the ankle, then the groin, then the mysterious setbacks no one wanted to put a name to. The box score still had numbers you couldn't shrug off. Points, dimes, boards, but the efficiency dipped, the minutes yo-yoed, and the rhythm never fully landed. Every press conference felt like it came pre-approved by a hospital PR team. Day-to-day, precautionary, minor tightness. Sure, minor tightness that hung around long enough to make patients feel like a full-time job.
Fans started guessing. Media started theorizing. Was it caution? Was it something deeper? Some people called it load management. Others said smokescreen. Honestly, the only thing that was clear was the confusion. But underneath the static, there was a plan forming. Head coach Stephanie White finally moved away from the vague reevaluation period lines and started speaking basketball again.
Look, I don't think that a lot of things that are thrown out around in social media and in whatever the conversations are Caitlin's life. I think people are talking about Caitlin.
2-on-2, then 3-on-3, building to 5-on-5. That's not filler, that's a blueprint. And it told you one thing. They were done pretending this was week to week. This was a deliberate rebuild, brick by brick, until live action wasn't a risk. It was the next step. Meanwhile, all the off-season noise got quieter. No overseas bag, no detour to Unrivaled, no Athletes Unlimited cameo. The message was simple and honestly refreshing. Get healthy first, then Team USA, then everything else. If you've been around the block, you know this kind of restraint is rare. The calendar is littered with chances to chase minutes, cash, clout. She passed. And that decision is why March suddenly matters. Because if you're going to say no to all the side quests, you better be aiming for something that moves the needle. And this does. Here's the twist a lot of people miss. Team USA's spot for the next World Cup is secure, but these March qualifiers still matter. They matter for rotations, they matter for chemistry, they matter for film. The staff uses this window to test pairings, pace, and decision-making against real opponents with real stakes. For Clark, that's the perfect runway. Not the grind of a full WNBA slate, not the randomness of a charity scrimmage. A compact, high-signal set of games with elite teammates, real schemes, and a coaching staff that knows exactly what to look for. And yes, before we build a parade route, label this part clearly. Reports claim she'll be cleared late February.
From three-point range and had 3 games without a three, something that previously hadn't happened since her sophomore season at Iowa. Quote, I would never speak for Caitlin, but it's frustrating as an athlete to go through injury when you're not able to do what you love to do.
And rumors suggest March activities are the target. That's not an official roster post, that's not a minutes guarantee, that's a window. A believable one, but a window all the same. If her body says yes and the medical team signs off, the door opens. If not, it's a pause, not a panic button. We're keeping that line bright because speculation should never be dressed up as certainty. This is sports, not prophecy. Let's talk stagecraft because it's huge. Puerto Rico in March isn't a random backdrop, it's a portal. It turns the what-if energy into roll camera. She hasn't played meaningful, full-speed basketball since midsummer, and there's a pent-up demand you can feel scrolling your feed. The moment she laces up in a Team USA kit, networks flock, clips multiply. The timeline forgets last year's half-speed stretches and remembers what made people stop mid-scroll in the first place. The audacious range, the live wire vision, the swagger to throw a pass most guards won't even attempt. It's a ratings magnet and a morale jolt all in one. Of course, the rehab whispers sparked their own cottage industry. Some swore the timeline made no sense, pointing to other sports where players return from gnarlier stuff in a blink. But injuries are not one size fits all, and groins are notoriously tricky. You can run straight before you can cut. You can shoot before you can stop. And the last 5%?
Caitlin Clark has been probably the best backcourt in the WNBA for the last 2 years. Even when they were playing on the floor this season, they were the best backcourt in the WNBA. I don't think there's really a comparison. Maybe Courtney Williams.
That's the part that exposes you. From the outside, it looks like nothing. From the inside, it's the difference between healthy and healthy. If the staff slowed everything down, it's because they've seen careers detour over that last 5%. When White started saying decision-making and live action, that was the clue. They weren't doing fitness tests anymore. They were testing reactions, game speed, body control, balance under stress. That's a comeback checklist, not a rehab worksheet.
Now, zoom out to the bigger chessboard. If March goes well, some people believe the runway lines up for a monster summer. The word Olympics gets thrown around easily, and we're not stamping any passports today. But the idea is simple. Perform in March, build through spring, hit camp with confidence, and the narrative flips from what happened last year to what ceiling are we chasing now? It's the kind of arc brands love, networks love, and fans devour. The reaction online has already been a show of its own. Half of basketball Twitter is counting days, the other half is pretending not to care, which is how you know they absolutely care. You get posts like, "I'd watch her shoot free throws for 2 hours," right next to, "Don't rush it, protect the future." And honestly, both can be true. It's okay to want the highlight and still ask for caution. The responsible position is simple. If she's cleared and she feels right, let her hoop. This isn't a YMCA run, this is Team USA. The standard is the standard.
I don't remember, but I didn't want to go to LA. But I wanted Indiana to get the first pick.
So them getting the first pick, I feel like you would have left college regardless, but this was like,
I probably
okay, now
would
I'm
have,
going, sure.
but at the time, I was definitely still up in the air, like
So it
early in
influenced you a
my
little bit.
senior year.
Okay.
And then I was like,
Let's hit the real question. What will she look like? Because that's the question buried under all the scheduling talk. Before the injuries, she played like gravity didn't apply, pulling from the logo, threading half-court lasers, sprinkling in just enough bark to make veterans raise an eyebrow. After the injuries, she looked careful, still brilliant, still creative, but a beat slower to pull the trigger. That's what March can measure in a few trips down the floor. Not just whether the ankle holds and the groin behaves, but whether the confidence returns. The first time she stops on a dime and rips the pull-up without flinching, you'll feel the arena exhale. If you're watching at home, there are tells you can track. Early on, look for simple actions, drag screens, ghost screens, quick dribble handoffs, plays that sharpen reads without putting her in a pile of bodies. Notice the shot diet, more catch and shoots while the legs calibrate, then the off-the-bounce bombs re-enter the menu. Watch defense on the margins, the way she closes out, especially the decel afterward, because groin and ankle histories love to betray you there. And keep an eye on the first deep transition pull-up. That one is a mood ring. If it goes up without hesitation, your timeline is about to melt.
Team dynamics? Let's be adults. Every cycle, someone whispers that attention can tell to room. There are vets who've chased USA minutes for years, and the cameras follow the new face automatically. Rumors suggest not everyone loves that part. That's human.
but Team USA's selection math hasn't changed in decades. Medals and standards. If the staff believes you help both, you're in the conversation. And if you're in the conversation,
share the channel, hit that bell notification. Listen, man, this is very sad, very disappointing. It's disgusting that Caitlin Clark has to be subjected to this nonsense. And enough's enough. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. She needs to come out and draw.
the next step is to prove it in live possessions, exactly what March provides. Until someone signs their name to a complaint on the record, we're leaving the locker room drama in the rumor bucket where it belongs. From a league perspective, the timing is almost unfairly perfect. March sits far enough from WNBA opening tip that it acts like a teaser trailer. Play well with the national team, and the marketing team doesn't have to manufacture momentum in May. It's already humming. Clips of no-look dimes and deep threes become organic ads. Any stale narratives about losing streaks shrink in the rear view. Even limited minutes would do work here. 10 Shark minutes in a USA jersey tells a louder story than a week of practice footage ever could. Now let's flip the coin. What if she doesn't suit up in March? That's still information. No panic, no shock. It signals the staff wants more ramp time before the grind of a full season, and it kicks the next checkpoint to training camp. You'll still get practice clips, you'll still get updates, and the first real minutes just move a square or two down the calendar. The suspense stretches, the stakes don't change. Either way, the Puerto Rico window will be a full-blown media circus. Cameras at the airport, sideline shots of every warm-up rep, a mic interface asking the question you already know by heart. How close are you? And she'll probably give the same smart answer day by day. Listen to the body, stack good days. It's cliche because it's true. You don't beat timelines by winning interviews. You beat them by hitting the boring marks over and over until boring looks like magic again.
Let's also address the noise about too soon versus too protected. Pick a lane, folks. You can't say she sits out too much, and then, when she circles a date, scream, "That's reckless." The point of a professional career is to compete and to last. That's why medical teams exist, that's why minutes caps exist, and that's why the smartest comebacks use controlled environments before unleashing the full suite. March offers control. It's compact, it's scouted, it's monitored. It's a cleaner test than asking her to go from 0 to 30 minutes on opening night. There's also a narrative win hiding in plain sight. For all the drama last season, one thing never changed. She moves the needle. You can't scroll for 2 minutes without stumbling on her name. That's not hype, that's data. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, you tune in to see what happens next. And that's where this window becomes bigger than a few possessions. It resets the story. Play well, and the conversation shifts from, is she okay, to what does the ceiling look like when the legs are fresh and the reads are crisp? Even if she only flashes the full package for a quarter, the clip machine will do the rest.
On court, the little things will tell the truth. How fast the ball leaves her hands out of a trap. Whether she trusts the pocket pass when a help defender shades early. The confidence to call for a high screen and reject it. Punching the lane without second-guessing the body. Those micro choices are what separate cautious from unleashed. And because Team USA's spacing is cleaner and the timing tighter, she'll get chances to make those reads without forcing the issue. That's where you see the real version, the one that made arenas hum before the injuries ever showed up. And let's not pretend the off-court machine won't roar. Sponsors love a comeback arc. Networks love a countdown. Even the critics get what they want, something to dissect frame by frame. The weeks between now and March will feel like a slow drum roll. One day it's a video of a shooting workout. The next, it's a progress note about 5-on-5 reps. Then somebody posts a clip from a closed practice, and your notifications erupt because the footwork looked snappier, where the lift on the jumper looked higher. That cycle is already spinning, and it only gets louder from here. So, where does that leave us right now? With a simple, powerful frame. Circle March 11 to March 17. That's the window. Reports claim it's real. Rumors suggest the late February clearance is on the table. Nothing is guaranteed, but the pieces fit. The staged build to 5-on-5, the quiet winter with no side leagues, the national team window that turns questions into proof. It's tidy, it makes sense, and it's just close enough to feel like the next push notification could be the one. If she plays, prepare for the sound you get when a sports moment clears the bar. A collective, whoa! It might be a no-look thread that splits two defenders. It might be the off-the-dribble three that makes an arena lean forward in one motion. It might be a quick burst to the rim that proves the gears are meshing again. If she plays and the rhythm arrives, even for a stretch, the conversation resets in a heartbeat.
If she doesn't, keep the same energy. The story just shifts to the next checkpoint. The standard doesn't change, the goal doesn't change, the anticipation definitely doesn't change. Because whether you're rooting hard or hate watching, you're watching. That's the thing about stars who bend attention. They make you pick a side, and then they make you show up to defend it. So yeah, after the hush, after the carefully worded updates, after the theories that filled the gaps, this is what we've been waiting for. A date range, a jersey, a stage. No hype required. The game will speak, one possession at a time. And when it does, we'll finally get answers you can't spin, post, or litigate. You can argue about narratives all night, but the scoreboard has a way of closing mouths. Until then, save the week, pack your patience, and get ready for the moment the camera catches that first dead sprint cut, that first fearless pull-up, that first grin that says, yeah, we're back. Whether she dominates or just dips a toe, one thing's guaranteed, all eyes are on March.